I trust we've all been having a wonderful time here. So quickly, I'm really thrilled to welcome everyone to this session. And we're going to be talking about crypto. Like, of course, almost every day or every week, there is always something new in the crypto space. So we're going to be hearing from 4 innovative companies, like 4 companies leading the, I could say, the crypto blockchain space here in Africa to come and give us their own inputs on this topic. So quickly, I'll be calling on my first panelist, the CEO of Yellow Card, which happens to be one of the leading crypto exchange in Africa, Jason Marshall. Thank you. Quickly, we also have the Africa ecosystem lead of Celo Foundation, Aliu Musa. Moving on, we have the co-founder of Ejara, a francophone crypto investment platform, Baptiste Andrieux. And lastly, we are joined by the investment manager of Adaverse, a Cardano ecosystem accelerator in Africa, Phelps. Hi, everyone. Great to have you all here. So quickly, I would want each of us to actually introduce ourselves, our company, and also what we do, like in our company, basically, for our audience now. Anyone can go first. That's
great. I'll kick off. No, brilliant. Thank you. So yes, my name's Phelps. I manage investments at Adaverse, which is a Web3 ecosystem fund and accelerator based in Africa and investing in African companies. It's a collaborative effort between Emergo, which is the Cardano Foundation's commercial arm, and Everest Ventures Group, which is a Pan-Asian tech fund. And what we do is we invest and accelerate Web3 startups across the continent. So to date, we've made 45 investments and accelerated 16 companies with a real focus on tokenomics, tokenization, and practical use cases. We're still investing, and we're very keen to explore new partnerships, new opportunities, and really see not only what we can do for Cardano in Africa, but how we can grow the blockchain ecosystem more widely.
Hello, I'm Baptiste Andrieux. I'm co-founder and CFO of Ejara. Ejara provides decentralized wallets and access to crypto for Francophone Africa and this diaspora. Up to now, we have 150,000 clients, and we raised $10 million.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aliu. I lead the Africa ecosystem at the Celo Foundation. Celo is a layer 1 blockchain protocol. Currently, of course, moving to layer 2 in the next couple of weeks to become layer 2 on Ethereum. So the focus is more to provide like a more robust financial solutions to to everyone. We have community across the world. Basically, in Africa, we have community in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, Kenya, and in Uganda. We have like active communities and partnerships with a lot of crypto and fintech companies across Africa, including Yellow Card. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Marshall. I'm the COO, Chief Operating Officer, responsible for product management and operations. Yellow Card is a cryptocurrency exchange. We, at a high level, help people exchange fiat currency for crypto and vice versa, as well as send and receive crypto around Africa and globally. We're currently live in 17 countries, hoping to grow to a few more by the end of the year.
Great, thank you so much. So quickly, I'd actually be starting with you, Marshall. So Yellow Card happens to be a key player in the adoption of crypto in the African landscape. So can you please share with us some of the insights or trends, like in the latest trends rather, that we have in the crypto space, and how Yellow Card is actually positioned to capitalize on these trends?
So crypto in general is growing throughout Africa. By far, the use case is stablecoins, right? The Celo dollar, USDC, USDT, etc. We're seeing it used for more and more practical use cases by more and more individuals and businesses. In most markets, our biggest competitor is the informal market. There's massive amounts of money flowing into crypto from WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, somebody's brother's cousin's friend selling crypto informally. we're seeing that the informal market is growing much faster than we ever could in certain markets. Where that's not happening is in markets where the regulators are really taking a lead in formalizing the industry, where the regulators are formalizing the industry through licensing or sandboxes and through, if not the publication of regulations, but the publication of draft legislation and regulations. We're seeing the market move more toward the formal sector. And then the use cases, we continue to see more and more people use the use cases, especially in markets where the local currency is depreciating rapidly, which unfortunately is a number of them.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So to Aliu, yes, because I'm kind of like a fan of Celo, and I see everything that you've been doing. And from what I understand and from what I know that you've been doing with Celo Foundation, you've been more of into financial solutions as well as inclusivity here in Africa. So like from your own point of view, what recent trends like have you seen in terms of financial inclusivity and like accessibility in Africa, and how is Celo contributing to this momentum?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I mean, recently, it's more like the thing that's going to be like the biggest driver of, adoption in crypto in Africa would be a better user experience, to be honest. And that's because crypto is still a bit complicated for many people to use. Like, we still have the wallet addresses, we still have the private keys, we still have, all those things that is like, looking like an hindrance to many people. And so I've been seeing like many people rolling out different solutions that are now like using like people's phone number rather than just wallet addresses to send funds, right? Yeah. So that's like, they call it social connect. Like, I mean, social connect is one of the things that would definitely be a big driver of crypto adoption going forward, and I've seen that really, really happening. Apart from having like a really cool user experience, I think scalability is also an issue because of the fact that 1 cent in the US is different from 1 cent in Africa. Like 1 cent in Africa is like something, right? So until we have like the scalability that makes things like that makes things flow the way the financial capability of Africa is really capable of. Like, if people can actually get to pay for the fees and a very, very low amount of money, I think that scalability is like something that would also be like a big driver. With this, we have seen different solutions as well, like the account abstractions and different other things and different other research, like Web3 research that has been going on. So hopefully in the next few years we can have a lot of social collect solutions where people would not really have to be using wallet addresses or using like private keys and the likes. Of course, maybe private key is not going to die, but I believe that as time goes on, things like this really needs to improve because many people who are actually financially excluded would not have that capability of having private keys or dealing with wallet addresses or some of the other technical situations when it comes to Web3, right? So yeah, I think that's just a bit of some of the things I've seen that are already making like wave, and of course that could also like make bigger wave as we continue in the markets. Okay, so like based on everything you've said now, so how is Celo actually contributing to this? Like to absolutely. So I mentioned Social Connect. So I'm happy to mention that Celo is like one of the chain out there that has implemented Social Connect and effectively, right? So Social Connect is like the ability to just send any cryptocurrencies directly to anyone's phone number through your contact list or anything, and the person received it and just be able to cash out, right? So recently we have many pay that launch on Celo, that beat on Celo, and they use Celo Connect to kind of like get all of the things. So on ManyPay, you don't even have access to using wallet addresses, except you find it. Like, it's really hidden, right? So on ManyPay, you just go there and check through your contact and send funds to people, right? So that's some of the way that Celo has really been contributing into making sure that this accessibility becomes something that is really, really important and something that is really being solved.
Okay, great. That's really wonderful. Thank you very much. So to Baptiste, I actually took our time to check out Ejara on Twitter and some other socials, and I was really, really impressed. Like your work for like being the focus, or rather, for your focus audience being the Francophone community is actually wonderful. So I would like to know from you, like, what are some of the current trends in crypto investments within the Francophone community, and how is Ejara adopting to meet the needs of this demography?
So when we first arrived in Francophone Africa, we were really alone in the market.
Okay.
So we first developed an agnostic decentralized wallet, and we were the first African company of doing it. Because we really believe in decentralization. Everybody should own their own keys. Even though there are, issues with owning their own key, but we are developing backup solution to that right now. Then we gave access to crypto, the on-ramp and off-ramp.
Okay.
And in Francophone Africa, it's really difficult to hold accounts in foreign currencies. To have an account in dollar or euros, or to send dollar and euros outside the country is really complicated. So we really wanted, on top of crypto, to provide stablecoin wallets for people to be able to hold multiple currencies and exchange them all over the world. And as our friend from Yellow Card was saying, more and more we're seeing the use case of using stablecoins to do international payments and international wires.
Great, that's really wonderful. Thank you very much. So to William, yes, I know about Adaverse, and I've actually seen a couple of work you're doing in Nigeria, to be precise. Like, I see Adaverse like almost everywhere I go to these days. So and you're actually playing a very critical role because of the whole acceleration like you're doing regarding African projects. So can you share some insights on some of the latest trends and innovations within the Cardano ecosystem in Africa, and how Adaverse is actually contributing to this?
Absolutely. I think just talking about Cardano generally, one of the problems that Cardano's had globally is that it's what I would describe as a research-driven blockchain. It operates at quite a high level that makes, I think, integration and onboarding very difficult for a lot of devs. But the unique opportunity that Africa presents, particularly for us as an accelerator as well as an investor, is to be able to build on tangible use cases and employ Cardano to the maximal extent, I think, within those use cases. So, as I mentioned previously, one thing that we really focus on is tokenization and helping companies, I guess, generate liquidity in whatever form works best for them. And for us, Cardano has been integral in doing that. So we look at the development of, for example, the Cardano naming service, which links to a certain extent with how you can simplify the Web3 process, so that when it comes, for example, to accessing that liquidity or tapping into some of the infrastructure that, for example, Ejara might be building, how that can be simplified for the average consumer. Because in terms of more general trends, one thing that I think is important to know, particularly in West Africa, is the size of the market, but at the same time the, let's say, low starting point. So I think that, obviously take into account the benefits that, say, the Cardano might bring, along with the need for easy onboarding and easy infrastructure, is critical, and that's something that we're really, really focusing on in future.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think I can actually relate with what you've said right now, because I think sometime in 2021, when I just got into the space and I learned a lot about Cardano ecosystem, trust me, it was really hard. Trying to get a couple of people to even want to learn more about Cardano, because they felt like it was really, really difficult, especially because at that time, I think you were not 100% focused in the Africa ecosystem. But the moment Cardano came into Africa, trust me, I can say that through Adaverse, a couple of people I know are actually builders. They've been getting a lot more interested on the chain. So kudos to what you're doing. Great. So still back to you, I would like to know, looking forward, what are some of the key areas of focus for Adaverse in terms of supporting and nurturing projects within the ecosystem in Africa, and how do you envision shaping the future of crypto within the continent?
Absolutely. I think that in that respect, actually, the timeline, I guess, that we've been operating in has been really useful. I mean, we're in a bear market now, everything's down, but what that allows is, I think, time for consolidation and building. And it's, I think, really whittled down the African ecosystem to projects that work and projects that are meaningful. So a large portion of our time recently has been really spent on our portfolio companies, those that are, we're accelerating, bringing them to business maturity, helping them prepare for fundraising, and eventually, when the market improves, token generation. But in terms of, I think, going forward, what we're going to be looking for is, as I mentioned, those tangible use cases. Primarily B2C focused, but those that actually are meaningful within an African context, whichever specific market that might be. Because I think a big ethos or philosophy of ours is that within the African continent, it doesn't matter about the price of Bitcoin or the general sort of macro speculative trends. If something works, it works. But I think in blockchain generally, it's finding things that work is often the challenge. But that's what we're hoping to make some headway in.
Okay, great, thank you. So to Marshall, given the rapidly evolving crypto landscape, what are some of the innovative strategies that Yellow Card is considering to stay ahead of the curve and to continue driving crypto adoption in Africa?
Yeah, I don't think it's obvious, but I would say our investments in compliance and security and finance and all the back office boring stuff.
Okay.
We've been fortunate enough to raise some venture capital money, and we didn't sponsor any big TV shows or soccer tournaments or football tournaments or very flashy marketing. We invested in the boring stuff the customer doesn't see. Compliance, infrastructure, people, processes, technology, cybersecurity, finance, accounting. Stuff's not sexy. You don't get immediate return, and none of your friends think you're cool for doing it. But what that's enabled is, A, it changes our conversations with regulators, and it's positioned us to partner with people globally. We announced a big partnership with Block, which is the owner of the Cash App and Square ecosystems in the US, one of the bigger American fintechs. That doesn't happen if we hadn't made those investments, we weren't world-class in those areas. We think it'll position us when initiatives like the ECD come out, where we'll be better positioned to partner with a central bank because we can show them we have better compliance and cybersecurity than any commercial bank in the country. That's the goal, right? And I think that's probably the biggest strategic decision we made. And that also leads eventually to customer trust because a lot of the people who didn't do that aren't here. And so sometimes you earn trust over a period of years by doing things the right way, even when it's a little bit slower, a little more costly. That's probably the biggest strategic decisions we've made.
Great. All right, thank you. So, Aliu, back to you. So, looking ahead, what areas within the realm of financial inclusion do you believe will be the next focal points for Celo in Africa, and what initiatives or projects are already in pipeline to address these opportunities?
All right. I mean, putting Celo aside, in crypto generally, I still feel like remittances is like, a super use cases that is really going to be big, right? So with stable coins, it makes remittances more easier, right? So a few years ago, if you are receiving funds from, maybe even within Africa, till now, right? Sending money from Nigeria to Ghana now through the banks is more expensive, very slow, and but with stable coins, it just takes a few minutes, right? So I still feel like, but we need that connectivity. I think there are still a lot of things to do. I'm not sure how we are going to get there, but we still need to get to a point where we are going to be able to use like a certain stable coin to do cross-border remittances among all of us, right? So I still feel like that is the end goal, right? I'm not sure how we are going to reach there. I don't know where the solution will come from, but that is what I personally feel like would be some of the things that we have to do to achieve that biggest financial inclusion, and some of the use cases that would really skyrocket a lot of adoption, right? So, and then putting Celo in the picture, basically one of the things that the Opera team look into before they built MiniPay on Celo was the fact that they have a lot of user base across Africa. They have access to over 100 million users across Africa, and over 60 million of them are active, right? So I think with that, they were looking into also utilize such opportunity to kind of activate, that's the long-term goal, to activate, easy cross-border remittances and payments, within the MiniPay app, using stablecoin, right? So I still feel like it's a long step, it's a long journey, but of course, as many participants, start, getting into this, we are going to have like a place to get to as time goes on. Maybe after remittances, like in terms of cross-border, I think payment is also like one of the things that is huge, especially for some of us to come from a country where we are unable to pay with our cards when it comes to like online payment for cross-border, right? So, for someone like me, for over 2 years now, I've been using like a virtual card with crypto, right? So I mean, anyone that's come from Nigeria would understand the frustration of paying for something online, right? So it's not like there are no other solutions that are like doing this in Web 2, but Web 3 is there to just solve it effectively without having to plug out at any point in time, right? So I still feel like that's like the second one that would be like the next big use cases for crypto adoption in Africa.
Great, thank you so much. So Baptiste, in terms of innovation and user experience, what can we expect from Ejara in the near future, particularly in catering to like unique preferences and requirements for the Francophone community?
So last year we launched a product that we call tokenized bonds. We buy treasury bonds, we tokenize them, and we sell them via the app, so people can start building wealth with $1 via mobile money. So before you needed to have a bank account, you needed to have a brokerage account, and now you can have access to bonds via the application. And we saw a great adoption of the product. When we launched it, it was going even faster than the adoption we saw on crypto. So if you are in London, you are in Paris, you are in New York, you can buy stocks, you can buy treasury bonds, you can buy ETFs, you can buy securities, you can buy cryptos on your phone. We want to provide the same services to people in Africa. We want, via their phone and probably via tokenization today, to be able to buy any kind of assets. They can be stocks on the American stock market, they can on the London stock market. And same idea that Aliu, I think like right now, south-to-south payments are bigger than north-south payments. And they are the most complicated things you can imagine. Just to pay between the CFR region, the XOF and XAF, it's okay, you can exchange money, but between all the different countries, it's very complicated. I think we really need to find, and the presentation we saw before about WeCoin is a good idea. What they did in the Caribbean could be really applied to Africa, where we could have something that everybody trusts and can exchange in seconds, and somebody from Abidjan can pay a service in Kenya in 1 second. There is no reason that doesn't exist today, and we hope to provide, UI and UX and solutions with all our partners to be able to do this.
Great, thank you so much. I think safe to say there's a buzzword right now in the DeFi space. I think that's real-world assets, that's RWA. With everything you just said right now, literally say that's like what Ejara is currently working on for the aspect of the tokenized bonds, and where people would also be able to like purchase securities and other real-life assets from the comfort of their home through their cell phone, like in the form of like on the blockchain, basically. And that's really, really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Still back to you, Aliu. I think this is more of like to Aliu and Baptiste. This question says, what are your predictions or expectations for the trajectory of crypto in Africa over the next 3 to 5 years, and what should we look out for?
Personally, I am expecting the kind of growth that makes, using crypto as simple as using Momo, okay, right? Or using M-Pesa in Kenya, right? Yeah. I wouldn't say using bank transfer in Nigeria. Of course, maybe the same thing, right? So, but I think until we reach that level, that's like, the real sources of crypto in Africa. 4 or 5 years, we may not be there yet, to be honest, because of a lot of regulatory orders, to be honest. But I believe that we are going to be like a lot step closer to, to getting to that level of adoption in the next 4 or 5 years. Of course, 4 or 5 years ago, that's like 2019, 2018. It wasn't this easy, right? It was really complicated. I mean, almost all of us were there 2018, right? So we knew how it was, right? So, but of course, I believe that in the next 4 or 5 years, there is going to be like a lot of improvements, like a lot of serious projects that are really solving like real use cases solutions in crypto, and of course not a lot of shiny projects, just like my friend from Yellow Card has said. And of course, until we get to I still believe that until we get to a stage where using crypto is as easy as using Momo or using M-Pesa in Kenya, the success is not there yet.
Yeah, and regarding tokenization, the CEO of BlackRock was saying that the future of securities is tokenization. The volume of global, financial assets were going to be tokenized in the next future is huge. Yeah. So we want to give to everybody in Africa access to those via the application.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. I think they actually deserve a round of applause to that for everything they just said. Yes. So back to William. In the context of emerging technologies and partnerships, are there any exciting developments on the horizon for Adaverse that will further propel the growth of the blockchain and crypto in Africa?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to a large extent continuing the work that we've been doing. And I think one of the benefits really of Adaverse as an investor and accelerator is that from a funding perspective, we're very much evergreen. So as long as there are projects to invest in, we'll continue to back them and continue to support them through acceleration. But I think one thing that is particularly interesting and something we're really focusing on with all the companies we work with, where appropriate, is connecting international expertise, international ecosystem links, and international mentors with local companies on the continent. Because what I think is quite interesting is if you look at some of the largest rounds that have been raised, both within Web 2 and Web 3, it's often by African founders that are either maybe educated abroad or alternatively grew up abroad and have moved back to the continent. So I think now, at least within the funding space, it's about bringing a lot of that knowledge to local founders and developing those skills from the bottom up. So obviously, from a tech perspective, we continue working and investing in blockchain, but I think working with founders in that respect is hugely important. So very much doing both.
Thank you. So this question now back to Aliu. I would like to know from you, like, while we are waiting for the next trends, like for the future of crypto here in Africa, what role does education actually play while we are still in the waiting period?
Yeah, to be honest, to even get to this level of success, education has really played a very key role. I've seen a lot of people here who are still, who have been here since 2015, 2016. And it's because of people like that who has been playing key roles in educating, the communities, a lot of people. I mean, events like these as well, right? So as being one of the key roles to get into this level of success that we are today. Of course, we are not where we are going, where we want to be yet, but we are getting closer, right? So yeah, education is key, and to have that level of adoption where we want to be, it is important that everyone takes education very, very important. For us at Celo, it has always been one of the key things we do. One of the ways we have really make education really priority for us is that we set up an Africa DAO, where we call it Celo Africa DAO, to fund all of the community initiatives that is coming in, from around Africa. So in terms of developers education, in terms of, community education and everything. So all of this funding is coming from the DAO, right? So, and it is spread out of Africa, not just in a specific country. We have people on the ground in different countries like Kenya, like Uganda, Nigeria, and the likes, right? So for us all to get to that certain, level of success where we want crypto to be more available for everyone, more easy for, maybe some of our mothers or our friends or our brothers in the village, we have a lot of educations to do, right? Education in the sense that it's not going to be people that use smartphones that would, crypto needs to get to the people that are not even using smartphones at some point, right? So yeah, of course, as engineers, as researchers continue to do different research on their own side, of course, we on the ground also have to be doing a lot of community outreach and education.
Thank you so much. You made mention of the Celo African DAO, that you said it's basically for communities that are into education. So, it's a follow-up question. is it targeted at just developer-focused communities, or even like education communities that are not developer-focused? Let's say there are some of them that just teach people basically like how to utilize the blockchain, like how to use the blockchain, and even non-technical skills basically for those who don't even want to build. So does the DAO also like affect or touch on these other communities?
Yeah, so basically it's not just focusing on technical, it's focusing on like, general Web3 community event, right? So if it's just universities that, or maybe university students that gather themselves and want to like teach themselves around anything that has to do with Web3, they are free to like submit proposals to the DAO and get funding for that, right? So we have used the DAO to like fund events, community events across Africa. Some are conferences, some are just university events, some are just community events, and I mean, some of them are also like focusing on basically developers. And of course, we have hosted different hackathons as well. So next month we are planning to have like a developers focused incubation program that are going to like, focus on different developers across Africa, where people comes together, build different solutions, reach MVP stages, get fund, some little funding to like continue to, work on the project as they push forward.
Thank you so much. I think there are some communities I've seen here that I think you've all heard from Aliu. So if you know you're very much into educating people and onboarding people into the space, you should reach out to him after this session. So I'd like to jump quickly to Marshall. I don't know, still on this issue of education, is there anything that Yellow Card is actually doing to help push like the newbies to also be a part of like what's to come in the future regarding crypto in Africa?
Asking about what Yellow Card is doing for education? Yes, we do quite a bit. We have Yellow Card Academy, academy.yellowcard.io. It's a free education website for crypto and financial education in general, in both English and French. We promote that heavily, just to educate the market. Also has some nice anti-scam education, which I think is needed. And we should also share that content with regulators if they wanted to distribute it. We do a lot of events. A lot of financial education events. In Nigeria alone, we've hit 10,000 people last year. A few hundred people with our brand ambassadors and our teams on the ground. And we do this in over a dozen countries. And we're trying to do more. I think the thing I'm most excited about, we've been experimenting with some women's-only events, which we found in Africa in some communities changes the dynamic completely. Because in some cultural communities, if you don't have a women's-only event, few women attend, or if they do, they don't speak. But if you have a women's-only event with women-only moderators, you have a lot more engagement and a lot more better education outcomes. So I'm excited about that one, and we keep learning. We're a startup, right? We keep deploy and iterate. We treat education just like the Celo Foundation. It's kind of one of the core aspects of what we do. Because ultimately, the most important, most valuable asset in financial services is customers' trust. And it's valuable if you get it. And you don't earn that with something flashy, not in this space. You earn that by educating and teaching people and giving them some knowledge over time. And that's what we're investing in heavily.
Thank you so much. So my final question to William and CEO Marshall is what advice or insights would you offer to individuals and businesses looking to get involved in the African crypto space, and how can they navigate the unique challenges and opportunities it presents?
I think the biggest thing is being in the market is extremely important. And I think that applies both to local companies that are maybe in Web 2 and wanting to look into Web 3, and of course international speculators or observers who want to get involved in the ecosystem. I think understanding the flows, the dynamics, not only of regions within Africa but also countries within Africa, is absolutely fundamental. And I think within that, going back to this term use cases, it becomes really important because you suddenly understand what's important to the consumer, what's not important to the consumer, and again, gain an appreciation for something which is often discussed but rarely, I think, experienced, that, of course, what works in Ghana might not in Nigeria and vice versa. So I think fundamentally it's being on the ground as much as possible, which I know is the case, I think, with all companies on the panel, which is really strong, and I think on that basis, understanding the nuances and going from that perspective.
We love the technology. We love blockchain technology, but the consumer doesn't care, right? So I think just a complete focus on what the consumer is trying to achieve, what their problems are. So that means we invest in, whether it's our own base of employees, 96% of whom are in Africa, or with consumer groups in research, or just talking to brand ambassadors and spending as much time as we can listening to their problems. What are they trying to solve? And they're pretty basic, right? I mean, our local teams do it. I do it when I travel around. It's somebody who has a beauty shop who has to import supplies, and they can't pay a supplier. And they're going to go out of business. We've had instances like that across the continent, right? Right. It's somebody who's receiving remittances. My favorite consumer interviews were actually when I'm back in the United States. Is I talk to Uber drivers, and 1 out of 3 Nigerian Uber drivers I talked to in the U.S. has overcome the UX challenges to use crypto to send money home. They don't care about the technology. They think the UX is tough, but it saved them money. Yeah. And Niger's going to find a way, right? And there's a better solution, and they'll figure it out. But spending time focused on the problem, we can code around it, right? We can improve the UX bit by bit. But I think the key is just not to stay focused on the tech or what we want to talk about, but just how do you solve the most basic problems? Not for everybody. We can get to everybody later, but for segment at a time. I think that's been kind of our focus.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause to our panelists, please. Thank you so much. I think at this point, is there anyone who has any question for our panelists? Any question? Okay, great. I think the number one takeaway from this session is that for what's to come about crypto in Africa is we should watch out for tokenization, where all of our real world assets like land and properties, bonds, stocks, securities, and whatnot would be able to get all of these through the blockchain technology, using crypto to purchase all of this. And yeah, I think that's the major takeaway from this session. And thank you so much. It was really amazing. Thank you.
If there are questions, we'll take the one, and if there are any more, we'll take them, because I did see it, but I think you must have just missed it. So we'll take the questions from you, Malcolm, and then we'll wrap up.
I was wondering, how do you guys navigate the current crypto blockchain perception, or for lack of a better word, bias? Because I run into some clients who want no part of that due to maybe the FTX fiasco or things of that nature. So how do you navigate that challenge?
Between us, we know that 2022 was not a good year. We lost a whole blockchain. We lost one of the biggest players. We strongly believe in the blockchain. The blockchain is a decentralized technology, not controlled by anybody, and it's public. You can see the first transaction done on Bitcoin right now with any explorer. I think you really want to, first, before you engage in blockchain and you engage into an exchange or a wallet, check out who are managing it. Everybody who is promising you 10% return a week, forget about them. It's real life investments. It's never going to give you magical returns. So really study about who you interact with. There are good actors. We have regulations. Yellow Card has regulations. Celo has regulations. Wherever we can get regulation, we're going to get them. We apply ourselves AML, KYC, KYB's rules everywhere, so you can find the good actors. Fundamentally, the technology is good. There were bad actors, unfortunately, but now it's time to rebuild and rebuild trust.
We don't encourage anyone to keep their assets on our wallet, right? We encourage self-custody. Use us to buy the crypto, move it to a self-custody wallet. We encourage that, right? People who lost money in FTX kept their assets on FTX. Some people will keep their assets on our platform for certain amount of time, but that's not why people are using us in Africa. People aren't buying stable coins with Yellow Card and leaving it on Yellow Card. They're buying it and sending it to someone who's selling it for fiat, or they're buying it to make a payment or to send money to family. So it's transitory. You have to trust us for about a minute and a half.
Okay, sorry, still touching on the question, so I just want to put my own insight on that. So like I said, 2022 was a crazy year for everyone in the crypto space, and thanks to everything that actually happened last year, we were able to learn a lot of lessons, and one of them is educate yourself about crypto and about how it functions before you decide to invest into anything. The whole FTX issue, why so many people had to be victims of the FTX problem was the fact that FTX is actually more of an exchange. It is not for you to store your funds. It is not a self-custodial wallet, but a lot of people were leaving their funds there. It's centralized. At any point in time, someone can just wake up and switch up on you. Even, let's forget about FTX now. Our normal banks, even though we know that CBN or BOG, they are there to hold all of these little banks in case they go away or they try to go astray rather. But in the crypto space, I think the worst that can happen is they'll probably arrest the owner of the exchange, they'll go to court, but then again, what has happened and has happened, everyone will still cry. So the best thing is before you decide to participate in any form of crypto activity, please do your due diligence. Don't just invest. Try to know the difference between centralized finance and decentralized finance, because it's safe to say that if all of those people actually left their funds at FTX at that time, had actually known about self-custody, like you said, if they had actually gone into the non-custodial wallets, they were actually keeping their funds there or investing more in DeFi assets, I don't think that any of them would have actually had any of falling a victim to that FTX problem. So yeah.
Surprised. You will be surprised that there were so many people who lost their money on FTX, but they actually had cold wallet, had everything. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's just about choices. It's choices actually at the end of the day.
Yeah, true. Great.
Oh, yeah, it's a very quick point on that as well, because I think just in terms of the use of crypto and how you sort of navigate that, some of the strongest blockchain or Web3 projects don't mention crypto at all. It's a bit of a dirty word, so they keep it on the back end. And I think some of the most interesting use cases are those that are able to layer the technology amongst other legacy systems, which are proven to work and obviously have the trust of the consumer. So I think it's not a binary option by any stretch of the imagination. And I think the really maybe interesting use cases in future will be those that are able to take the best out of blockchain, whilst at the same time integrating it with the best of systems that we know and trust already.
I saw two hands up. Okay. So.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caleb. I'm a blockchain reporter at Nodo. My question is about talents, right? One of the things we've seen with Web2 in Africa gain prominence is that the Web2 ecosystem has grown with a subsequent rise in the amount of talents that we have in Africa. For Web3, not so much, right? We're still trying to, I don't think we have enough developers for even the amount of Web2 projects that are on the continent. And for Web3, what it takes to build the kind of solutions that are decentralized and can be trusted and all of that, it takes a lot to get to that level of proficiency. How are you thinking about building the next generation of talents for Web3 in Africa? Because if Web3 would scale, we must go beyond onboarding people, because that's really what I find to be education about crypto. It's really just about onboarding people, telling them about what blockchain is. That's basically where most communities stop. How do we move beyond just that to, creating a world-class talent pool for, Andela has done it in Africa. We've seen it for Web2. What is the plan for Web3 in Africa?
One of the great opportunities Web3 brings to Africa in particular is that, it is decentralized, right? So unlike a lot of legacy systems and code bases, anyone can learn to develop on-chain. All the resources are public. They're out there. You Google how to develop a smart contract, there's pages and pages of resources. And I think one of the reasons that actually blockchain has done so well in Africa and actually developed such a strong developer base is because for the first time, there's absolute parity, whether here or in Asia or in Europe, in the US, in terms of the resource available to you. You know, everything is very much self-started and self-motivated. So that, I think, is incredibly important. There are platforms increasing and I think developing. So AfroBlocks for Web3 is trying to sort of do what Andela did for Web2, but for the blockchain world. And I think just the final point I'd make in terms of education is that there is almost a bit of a dichotomy when it comes to Web3 education, because obviously on the dev front, it's needed. But from sort of more of a user perspective, I think education can sometimes be misconstrued. I can't think, for example, of any technology that I've ever had to learn to use or be educated to use. If I use a debit card, if I use M-Pesa, if I use mobile money, it just sort of works, right? It's intuitive. I don't need to explain or justify how it works. And I think that with a lot of blockchain tools, whether even on the dev side maybe, or at least on the user side, the problem is that you have to learn how to use it. You have to learn how it functions. And I think until that's sort of simplified and there's a more streamlined onboarding process, it'll be difficult to get that kind of mass market adoption. Yeah, at least on the user end, as well as maybe with the dev aspect.
Thing I forgot to mention before, I was saying we were the first agnostic decentralized wallet in Africa, and it was 100% developed by Africans. And our R&D team is here in Ghana, so there are very good talents here already.
Yeah.
And as you know, as we were saying, everything is online. Right now, the main American universities gives all their courses for free online. You can even get the degree online completely. So all the knowledge is available. So it's about finding it today.
So adding to that, like currently I know of a Web3 product that's currently built in Nigeria. I think the name is Pontis. It's actually meant to be a talent agency. So people are actually being onboarded into the Web3 space, aside just educating them, what they're actually trying to do is to also connect them with lots of Web3 products and protocols, like whether you're a developer, you're a community manager, you're whatever parts from the highest to the least part of any form of career you can find in Web3 space. That's they're trying to connect people to all these individuals to projects or to protocols that they would definitely want to work with or that would want to hire them. Basically.
I think it's true that there's software engineers in Europe or the US or countries like that they definitely have some advantages, right? They have a gigabyte fiber into their house, right? They have some pretty incredible computer science programs in higher ed, right? We have 50 people on our engineering team. 2 are American, and they were early, Yellow Card started trying to build something for the US, so they were part of that wave. We haven't hired an engineer outside of Africa in 3 years. Some of our best engineers are Nigerian engineers who went to computer science programs at universities where they had no computers. They learned to code on pen and paper. There's probably some people here who've done that. Right? Their ability to learn new technology by themselves and their hunger to do so exceeds anything I've seen from an American engineer, and I've been in this business 25 years. And so with the tools available, right, especially when we're talking about building tools for African use cases, right? I can take the smartest guy in San Francisco, and it's going to take them a couple of lifetimes to understand the nuances of the use cases here, right? They're just not, the real life experience is too different, right? So I don't know, I kind of feel like with the right availability of resources, the hungrier top talent on this continent will be just fine.
I think my own perspective around that is the fact that we are actually having Web3 developers that are coming up, but there are 2 things involved. Some of them get picked up immediately, and I mean by very, very Jay-Z over from foreign companies, while some of them just decide to build things on their own, right? So we are seeing a lot of very, very young guys that are building a lot of different Web3 solutions now. And of course, this is also good for the ecosystem. So it's now boils down to the fact that who is going to teach others if the ones that are available are either building or have been snapped up by really Jay-Z offer, right? So, but it's still early. I mean, we are still really early in Web3, right? So I believe that 10 years ago, there were not enough Web2 developers even in Africa, right, compared to the way we have it now. So as time goes on, this is going to keep improving. We already have like different organizations, that are building Web3 talent across Africa. I know of Web3 Bridge in Nigeria. I know of DLT Africa. There are a couple of other ones even in Kenya as well. So as time goes on, this will keep improving. And at some point, I understand that it's going to be really difficult to have every of our talents to be snapped up immediately. Right now, I still believe that we have a lot of smart contract developers. I think there are also differences between being a smart contract developers being a core protocol developers. So right now, I believe we have enough, maybe not enough, but we still have like a few smart contract developers, but for core protocol developers, I'm not sure we really have solid ones in Africa right now.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daddy Mile. I have a question for Baptiste, founder of Ejara. I would like to know, since you are into a francophone market and you have been operating for a while, what are the francophone countries having trending in crypto? Like when you take the UEMOA French country. So what are the countries who have been adopting the crypto? And my second question is, are you having challenging, educate them to use the crypto, or it just spontaneously they know what is it and they start using, or you have to educate them?
As I was saying before, we see a big adoption of stable coins. People really want to be able to exchange money all over the world or to pay for services with crypto. I was saying too, we develop a tokenized bond and we see a lot of adoption on that, even on small time scale. Even, treasury bonds are supposed to be on the 6 months, 1 year, 2 year terms. People buy it on small terms because, for example, merchants need to store their cash every night. They don't want to go back home with their cash, so they give us their cash. And they start accumulating tokenized bonds that give them a small return over 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, they need to buy more stock. So they sell them, and they go buy stock. So the thing is, we adapt. Sometimes we launch projects, and we see how our clients are reacting to them. And then we go do interviews, and we see how they use the tool we just launched. We thought it would be a long-term investment, and they use it for short periods. So we keep on adapting, on the trends and what people want. And on the education, we do the same thing. We have an academy online, and we keep on providing resources and education for people to train themselves on crypto and investments.
In which African country, like a francophone country, have you seen more volume in terms of crypto?
I don't understand.
In which francophone country have you seen more adoption volume?
Cameroon, Ivory Coast.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay, I think one more person. That will be the last. Will be taken. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Richard, and I'll be directing the question to Jason, and I'll be going back to what you said earlier, when you were talking about the users having to trust you on using your platform, and you made mention that you have to, users have to trust you for 1.5 minutes or something like that. And for me, as an example, I have trust issues, you understand? And if I'm to look at it, I'm into crypto, basically DeFi, and I rarely use any of these centralized platforms. The only platform that I even use, and it is for off-ramp, is Binance, just to exchange my USDT and stuff like that. So I'm actually just curious because I'm not really into the tech part of the whole industry, you understand? But I'm just curious if there's a way to make your platform more like a decentralized one. More like you don't have to be the one controlling the funds, basically. Because you have to look at, for example, using myself as an example, 2 to 3 months, every 2 to 3 months, I change wallets. and this is because I'm familiar with it. You cannot compare me with an average person on the street or like traders in the market or these women that don't really understand some of these things. They cannot go through the rigorous process and stuff like that. But for me, it is something that I'm already used to. And if you are looking to, onboard more people into the industry, you want people to use the crypto payments, this and that, and for them to avoid the case of FTX also, the reason why a lot of people get caught in the FTX issue was because, they don't even understand. They have no other option because they cannot go through the process of keeping their seed phrase, open trust wallet or MetaMask or stuff like that. So they resulted in keeping their funds. Okay, I think it will be safer here. And since they don't have to do anything, and you cannot even conclude that everybody using, okay, sorry, I'm going to the question now. That you cannot actually conclude that everybody using your platform only use it and buy crypto and send to other people. So the question basically is that is there a way for Yellow Card, to be a decentralized platform? That is just it.
Yeah. All right. The quick answer is it's several parts. Real quick, love to invite you to use Yellow Card as your off ramps. Two, we don't encourage and we don't see users storing assets on our platform. So they're even the more basic users have figured out to store it somewhere else, and we're happy with that. We could, and we've looked at it, we could host a decentralized wallet integrated so you could easily move between Yellow Card and the decentralized wallet. One of our investors is blockchain.com. We've talked to other decentralized wallets. I think that could come in the future. But our initial focus has been not on people like yourselves who really have deep knowledge. We made the product decision to optimize for the user who needs a more simpler interface. So you're probably not our core target user, though we'd love to have you use our off-ramps.
Great. Fantastic. We probably need you on stage next year.